Hi guys, I hope you're doing really well and practicing radical self-care. I personally hope that you're out there, you're getting exercise, you're surrounding yourself with sane, kind, decent, empathetic people who actually care about your feelings and who are not pathological and not manipulative. I hope that you are engaging in 12-step recovery if that's helpful for you. There's Codependence Anonymous, there's Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families, ACOA. There is AA if you feel that you have a substance abuse disorder. There are multiple programs. There's SLAA, Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, or LAA, Love Addicts Anonymous. There is a bit of comorbidity often between sort of people that are codependent and love addicted or sex addicted. Not always, and you don't have to accept any of these quote unquote labels necessarily. You really don't. You can just go check out one of these 12-step recovery groups and see if you do not relate to some of perhaps the behaviors or the characteristics that you're reading or learning or hearing about. So again, you don't have to run around and be like, I'm a love addict, I'm a codependent. Like, it's perfectly fine for you to just go to some meetings, check it out, and see what resonates with you. And you can go to the meetings for 5 years and never label yourself. It really can just be helpful for you to learn some tools if you find yourself relating to some of these characteristics. And a lot of times, like especially with codependence, like you probably grew up in a family, if you do identify with having some of the characteristics of codependence, people pleasing, accommodating, putting other people's feelings, needs, and wants above your own, not being able to even half the time check in with your own feelings, not even knowing what you're feeling. A lot of times codependents have like a numbness inside. They're hyper fixated on the external, on whatever anyone else is feeling, and figuring that out and doing some dance to make that other person happy, instead of them, acknowledging, owning, feeling their own feelings, getting in touch with that, and being able to acknowledge that their feelings actually matter, and having equal empathy for themselves that they have for other people. Codependents tend to have a lot of empathy for others and not so much for themselves. So again, just some suggestions that, I really encourage you to check out some 12-step recovery to see if any of it resonates with you. I also have a course on my website at coachcat.org, and it is a course on helping you to overcome codependent characteristics, helping you to learn how to set boundaries, to address codependency, and to heal from narcissistic abuse, and to not get into another narcissistically abusive relationship. So feel free to check that out. That's on my website. So in this video, what I'm going to talk about is, again, like some things that you can do to heal, and some sort of ways that you can change your thinking when you're dealing with somebody who might be a controller or a narcissist or a manipulator. Just some ways that you can really, really hone in to yourself and your own reality and your own cognitions, so that you're not accepting somebody else's idea of reality. So one thing is true, if you're dealing with somebody who's a highly manipulative person, often what they try to do is they try to get you, if you're their quote unquote victim, to accept their version of reality, right? And that's with the gaslighting. That's just something they do, is they're trying to get you to accept their mask. They really want you to buy into the perception that they have of themselves, right? Instead of them just organically letting you get to know them like a normal person and being okay with who they are, they send a mask, and they need you to buy into that mask. If it's a covert narcissist, they need you to buy into the mask that they are gentle and kind and shy and easygoing and, would never do anything to hurt anyone, and they're just absolutely moral. Or some of the overt narcissists, like they may have a mask of like morality, decency, honesty, fidelity. They may say, well, I'm very monogamous, or I'm very honest, or whatever they say, right? So they want you to buy into their mask. And if you're not, then that is a problem for them. They get very frustrated if you're not buying into their perception of who they are, of what they want you to think, rather than, of course, like the rest of us, the normal people, where we're just like, hey, I am who I am. Give it some time. You'll get to know me. You'll get to see I am who I am. I've got flaws. I've got issues, but I'm also a great person, and I'm okay with me. I'm okay being me, free to be me, right? But a narcissist or a controller or manipulator is going to try to craft a narrative, craft a mask, send that mask, and you better buy into it, right? And if you don't, they don't like it. So it's okay for you to not need to go hit the bull head on by being like, I don't believe that you're who you say you are. It's actually just okay for you to quietly observe with someone, quietly observe who they are, how their interactions are, how their friendship are, quietly observe them. And if you start seeing that there's an incongruence between their actions and their words, then that's just something to know. That's a red flag to know. And you don't have to make a big deal about it and be like, you're a narcissist or you're a manipulator. You can actually just remove yourself from situations with people where they're showing signs that they're not who they say they are, or they're presenting to be one way and there's something off about, their actions and their words, right? So another thing you might see often with controllers is they really want to control not only your perception of them, but how you think, who you are, what you do, what you care about. Like, they're all about like getting you to think in the way they want you to think. And it's real common for people that have control issues to try to get you to think that if you're like, don't want to be controlled because you want to be free to be you, which is, by the way, normal. You're the norm. Them trying to control you and trying to dictate who you are, or what you do, or who you spend time with, they are the outliers. You're the normal one. If you're like, hey, I just want to be me. I just want to be free to be me. I'm not doing anything inappropriate. I'm cool. I'm free to be me. They try to get you to feel like you're the outlier. You're too ultra independent, or you're too, you don't like partnership or teamwork. They're going to try to do that with you, right? But you're actually not the outlier. You're the normal one who just wants to be you. You want to be free to be you, right? And so often in their control tactics, they will be like, no, you're not a team player, or I just want to be on the same team. I just want us to be on the same page. Like, if you're hearing any of that and all you're doing is things that are totally moral, totally fine, that you've done for 10, 15, 20 years, things that make you happy, spending time with wonderful people that you love and care about, or spending time doing hobbies or doing things that make you happy, and somebody comes along and they're trying to control what you do, like, they are the outlier. You do not have to accept that. Not at all. You do not have to accept that kind of control. You can just be like, you know what? I am normal here and just wanting to be free to be me. And I'm okay being me. And I don't need to change for you. And you don't need to change for me either. I'm cool. We're cool, right? Now, that's different than in a healthy relationship where you're willing to compromise, especially if you're working with a therapist and you're like, okay, we need to compromise here. You give here, I'll give here, we'll compromise, we'll meet in the middle. But that's where people are sitting down, they're having open, honest discussions about this, and they're like, hey, this is what I need. These are my feelings. This is what I'm looking for. The other person's like, oh, this is what I need. These are my feelings. This is what I'm looking for. And then you come up with a negotiation where people's needs are met. People are feeling good about, the compromise, right? So that's different. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't compromise in relationships. What I'm suggesting is you should be free to be you. Watch Wes Carter's videos. He also does a few courses, and I think one of his courses is even called Free to Be Me. And like, you have the right to be you, right? You really do. And I think it's so important that you recognize that, and you're not the oddball if you just want to be able to be you, which is probably a very decent, kind, loving, good person. It's not like you want to go out and, have sex with 47 people. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying like you should be able to feel loved, respected, and accepted for just being who you are, rather than you've got to morph into some sort of pretzel to please somebody who has an insatiable thing in them where they're never going to be pleased. No one's ever going to please them because they have an insatiable need inside of them, and no one is ever going to be able to make them happy because it's an inside job. A lot of the needs that they may be asking you to fulfill are actually things they should be learning how to fulfill for themselves, and not seeking that outside validation, not needing like all of that outside supply, right? So I just wanted to really hone in on this one, that it's super important that we feel in relationships that we are respected for who we are, and that we are free to be who we are. And if somebody doesn't like a particular behavior, they can bring it up with kindness, decency, and respect, and then a compromise can be reached. But that's very different than somebody trying to control you or get you to do things their way, or somebody that if they don't get their way, they act like a bully, or if they don't get their way, they have a bit of a emotional outburst. Like that's not going to fly in healthy relationships. So, really watch for those signs and just be aware and do, lots and lots of radical self-care is all I can suggest to you guys. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.